In the third round of Not the London Open, Scott Cobbold met with Yuan Ziyin. This early pincer of white might be a little bit surprising because black already has a shimari on the bottom side, so it will help in the fight against that stone of white. But for now, white doesn't even want to start this fight. Instead, white continues on the top side where black didn't answer to white's move. Then we saw a famous Joseki. Now, mainly black has two options. One is a solid connection, after which white will build a group on the right side and black will need to somehow manage this group in between and try to put pressure on both groups of white. Or the other option, which leaves much fewer questions, is to play an attachment from above. So in this variation, we would have three weak groups, but after black's attachment, we end up with strong shape of white and a strong shape of black. So black preferred simplicity here and continued like this, creating a large moyo on the bottom right side of the board. Then white went back to the initial fight, jumps out, and black also jumped, expanding the box. It also might be possible to jump here, but then white builds a shape for his group and destroys black's potential. So instead black chose this more aggressive move, after which white had a chance to put more pressure on black's group. Black goes out, white also goes out, black continues going out, and then it's not possible to seal black in like this. This does not work. So if the direct move doesn't work, we shouldn't play the direct move. We need to play an indirect move, and white plays this jump. Very good play. If we extend it, it would be easy for black to keep putting pressure on the stones of white, which would in turn give black a momentum against white's group on the bottom. However, if white jumps, then black's next move doesn't put that much pressure against white's shape, and now white might continue from the other side. Black tried to answer in a more active manner, attached, leaving a very interesting shape, not often seen in Go, such two one-space jumps next to each other. Usually, it's very important to be the first one to wedge in, but this time white didn't want to do it because this would mean that white gives up on the whole group on the bottom side. So white waits with this wedge. Instead, white prefers to make this wedge more interesting for the future, and white jumps here. So in the future, if white plays like this, black's cutting points will be more annoying because white will have supporting stones next to both of them. But still, for now, it's not really a good option because white's shape is too thin. This also means that black doesn't need to immediately strengthen the shape. And black didn't want to do it. If black just plays like this, it only gives white strength on the outside. So usually, as I said, we want to be the first one to wedge in because it creates two cutting points in our opponent's shape. But this time, this cutting point at A doesn't matter at all. Only the other cutting point matters, but white has time to protect it. White protects this one, and if black cuts here, white can easily give up one stone. So instead of playing the wedge, black extends up. All makes sense up to now. And right now, white played a very interesting move, attached to black's corner. White is starting to create a group on the right side of the board. And this is a brave solution. I think that I would rather choose a move in the center of the board to strengthen this group. The group is quite thin. Well, then black has a chance to add a stone on the right side and get a lot of points. Sure. But first, we make sure that we are not in trouble. Maybe in the future we might still use some weaknesses in black's shape. White's move is more active, but the risk is that black manages to start an attack on white's stone in a way which will also attack that other group. So black starts by choosing this direction, split white stones with this move. It makes sense, and the white counters black's hane with a counter hane. Black wanted to put more focus on that correct direction of play, the center of the board. So black played Atari and connected. However, then white found an easy way to settle inside black's corner. This was not really well played by black. The Joseki is to simply connect. Why do we need to play this exchange? The only reason why we want to play this exchange before connecting would be that we are afraid of white's extension here, which would not give us a chance to play that Atari afterwards. But this is not what white will play, because then black can play a beautiful tiger's mouth with a very large upper lip. This is a beautiful shape, which also puts a lot of pressure on white's group. And later, when white tries to make base, maybe black can destroy it, and afterwards try to start a splitting attack on white's groups. So white is not going to extend here. This is not a Joseki move. The Joseki move of white is an extension. But after that move, black can continue with an Atari from the outside. And if white connects now, it's just like the game, but there is one difference, that white was forced to extend instead of playing this attachment, which is a better move. If we saw such a variation, then black can block the corner, taking a lot of points there. And if white tries to build a shape on the outside, black blocks white with a beautiful move here. And white is, in fact, under big pressure. This would be not great for white. So maybe white can choose a different variation. For example, after this Atari of black, white has also another Joseki to choose. White can go further into the corner and get a big corner, but for the price of giving away a Ponnuki on the outside. So this is another Joseki. But this result seems good for black from the point of view of the direction of play, because black does all of this in center, and now black has time to start a very strong attack against white's group. White's group has nowhere to run because black is so strong everywhere thanks to the Ponnuki. This would be a good plan for black, but unfortunately black played the Atari first, white answered, and now white had the option to attach in the corner. So black can still continue in a similar manner to the one which we already discussed. Black can play from the corner, but now white went one line further, and it's easier for white to make life. Maybe white can jump now easily and build life on the side. So instead of playing from the corner, black chose to play from the outside, and then white took a bigger corner. Right now, the correct move of black might be a bit surprising. At first, it might look like a bad shape, but it's very powerful. Black can play a counter Hane. And yes, there is this agi of white playing Atari and capturing black's stone, but black can counter that combination by playing in the corner and capturing all white corner stones. So white cannot continue in this way. Instead, white will simply connect. This is the only reasonable play for white. White probably needs to answer, otherwise, even if the group doesn't die, it gets very much limited with black's continuation, and black gets a beautiful shape on the outside. So white will answer, and then black can play Tenuki. Then black gains center, and black can launch the attack, which was the initial idea of playing from the outside. However, in the game, black played this wedge, which led to a bad shape, an empty triangle, and white got a rather good shape with a double tiger's mouth. And black still lost center by continuing. I was a bit surprised. I would still expect black to launch the attack by a move in the center. Yes, white can play like this, maybe even continue by a connection. But, well, this gain for white is limited, and I am not even sure if white wants to make such exchanges at the time when that group is in trouble. So I think that first black might launch the attack, and only later, when it's clear what happened to white's group, or maybe at the moment when white threatens the cat, black will use this descent. So this move was maybe a little bit slow by black. Then white had a chance to jump out. And then white tried to strengthen the shape in center by playing an attachment. Usually an attachment is a center move, so maybe white expected black to answer, but this would be a very good exchange for white. First of all, black doesn't gain much on it because the bottom side is not yet black's points. White can still enter it from below. Second of all, white's shape gets stronger. Third of all, that A-B exchange limits black's potential in the center. And then there is one more interesting issue. If white adds one more stone, making the shape even stronger, destroying black's potential even more, then it also will activate the agi which we talked about earlier, this wedge. If white has both this stone and one more stone around there, then certainly black is in trouble. Like that. Black cannot go out, and it's not clear whether black can make life on the bottom side. So this was a smart trick by white. However, black didn't fall for it. Black doesn't need to answer to this move, certainly not in such a peaceful manner. Instead, black played in a much more active way, blocked white on the bottom, already claiming a few points around here, and then white continued. Black played Atari. White cannot counterattack. So white needs to connect, and we would expect all black to connect. But now black continues to put pressure on white, and black plays this Tesuji, threatening a snapback. It seems that white can play a double Atari on the outside, but this move is not only threatening a snapback, but also it's an Atari on that stone of white. So if white plays on the outside, black captures the corner. White has no way but to accept all of it and connect. Good exchange, but after all, black anyway ended up connecting on the outside, and then white added a move, because if white doesn't do it, then that move of black leaves white without clean life. Now white can live only in a ko. So all in all, this exchange doesn't change much. We could have waited with it. We could have simply connect. Black missed here an opportunity, a very crazy opportunity. Black could have now captured the 3 stones, seemingly giving up on the territory on the bottom side. However, right now, white's corner group is not yet completely alive, and it's also not clear whether white can make the second eye on the side. Rather not. So if white wants to make life with the group, white needs to use a ko, a direct ko. Or maybe if white doesn't start it, then black has a way to kill the group unconditionally without a ko. So this would be a very risky variation, a missed opportunity by black. However, this way, it's also reasonable. Black solidified this shape, and then certainly black doesn't need to add such a submissive move as an answer to white's attachment. So instead, black continued on the other part of the board, a Joseki, then black extends, and where should white play? I think that this is one of the most interesting moments of the game. Where would you continue? Please think for a moment. It might seem that the top side is very big, that white can create a 4th line territory there. So this move must be very valuable. Other idea might be to play somewhere in the center to add a stone to our weak group and destroy black's potential. Certainly this move is also valuable. The third idea, play on the left side, answer to black's move around here, or block from the corner. Which is better? Well, after this move black can still jump in around here, and after this one black can still slide in. I am not sure between this move and playing something in the center, because it's always difficult to judge how important such moves in the center are. However, certainly the move on the top side, the smallest. Why? Because on the top side, white's groups from both sides are completely safe, completely alive. So creating points on the top side by connecting these 2 alive groups has no strategic value. It is just taking points, very mundane. However, if we play in the lower left corner, then we create points and at the same time strengthen our group. So this is what white chose. If white played here instead, then black can go into the corner, destroy all white's territory, and perhaps even threaten the life of white's group. So this was in fact a very important move. Add a stone to that group. Then black went into white's area on the top, but that area is not so interesting, and probably it was more important to play something in the center, or maybe similar to what white played next, to try to cut off this stone, because white connected it afterwards, right? So black might try to cut it off, and then if white plays around here, we probably need to add a move to our shape. This would be worth actually quite much, because it is not only about points, but also about the strength of White's group. So Black played on the top side, but then White added a move to this group, looking more and more greedily at this weak point in Black's shape. So Black needs to protect it at one point, but Black doesn't want to just do it in this way, which would be very submissive and it would give White more points on the left side. Instead, Black plays in an active way, jumps, yes, and now if White tries to cut Black, Black might find a good way to counterattack. For now, White can try to expose Black's weakness by perhaps connecting the stones like this, or maybe better like that, but this would be a slack way of playing. First of all, it would be crystal clear what White means. So for sure, Black will not get tricked by it. Black will strengthen the shape in a semi-active manner and then continue on the left side. And White's loss on the left side will be very, very large. So instead, White simply adds a move and lets Black protect the weak point at A in an active manner. Then White continued. Right now there are no more very large moves left on the board, so White simply chooses this one to not let Black encircle additional 6 points. And of course, this move has also a very good continuation. If Black answers, then White reduced Black's area by 6 points. Moreover, White also created a weakness in Black's shape, because later White will be able to attack Black stones a little bit. Black didn't want to simply answer to White's move. Instead, Black wants to build a shape on the top side and uses this beautiful Tesuji, looking at White's weakness. If White simply connects, Black is very satisfied with this exchange. If White plays this tiger's mouth, Black can go up, and it's maybe even better than if White simply connected. This exchange looks good for Black. White has also another way, but usually in this shape, Black would aim at extending. White needs to connect, and then Black gets a beautiful shape on the top side, getting a lot of points and destroying White's base a little bit. Maybe White really needs to connect solidly. However, on this board, in this particular position, White can play this move, and after Black crawls in, White can counterattack with the Hane. Black might cut here, but then Black is left with 3 liberties and White has more. So this is not a success for Black. Black cannot crawl once more and peep White. This move is possible if the group on the other side is not as strong, and if Black's crosscut puts also a threat on that group on the other side. But right now it doesn't. So White doesn't need to connect. White can counterattack, which in turn means that Black's Tesuji is not really a Tesuji on this board. Maybe instead it would have been better to simply play a checking extension and go up. In the game, Black played this move, then pulled back, but then White protected a lot of points. Black still added a move, it might have a continuation. White tries to protect against this continuation, not just by following Black's plan, but instead by playing a very beautiful move, which creates a threat of pulling out the stone at B. Black answered, and now White's shape is already much stronger. Now, if Black ever tries to seal White in, White has a counter, thanks to that stone at A. So White can play Tanuki, and this is obviously a very big move, which takes away another 8 points of Black's territory, and this time certainly in center. The continuation is too large. So Black answers, and then White proceeds to another very big move. At this stage of the game, White got an advantage because Black's building of a group on the top side was not really successful. Black didn't gain many points there, and White played a lot of important moves at the time when Black played on the top. So maybe from the very beginning we shouldn't have played here. Instead, if we start to attack that stone, or even just play from the other side and continue in the center, it is still possible for Black to jump in with a move like this. There is still a hole in White's shape, so it's not even a secure territory yet. In the actual game, it follows by playing this Atari and destroying Black's territory on the bottom. And now we have a famous problem for beginner players. White to play and capture 2 black stones. White went for it, played a net, which completely stabilized the group in the center because this is one eye and obviously white will easily make another eye around there. On the other hand, black had a chance to get a few points on the bottom side. Maybe it's an even exchange, but the advantage is already in white hands. White continued the plan of expanding the center, and black's answer surprised me. Black played this one, as if white was threatening a cut. If white plays here, it's not even center against black's stones around here, and black stones around there can also very easily manage and create a lot of points. So this cut is not an issue at all. A bigger issue might be white jumping into black's area, but this is not worth that many points. So instead of playing here, it would have been better to somehow enter white's area around here. Like this, black only helped white to get another useful stone in the center, then tried to reduce the center a little bit, okay, with the peep, continued with the center exchange here, and then continues the reduction of the center. Now white played a few center exchanges, 1, 2, 3, 4. Where should be white's next move? Take points with the move at A, or play on the border of two side territories with the move at B. First, okay, still one center exchange. We saw the move at B, after which black continued in the center, but white still protected a few points around there. Was it a good choice? Yes. So this move is worth probably around 20 points. If black plays here, then black has a beautiful continuation like this, after which the final result will look this way. So after this move, either white protects or black gets such a great continuation. On the other hand, if white plays here, then at least white will be able to push once more in center, but maybe white will have some other Tesuji within black's area. If you count the difference, taking an average between this result and that result, then you will reach a number of around 15, 20 points. On the other hand, in the center, white can take, well, at most 20 points if white grabs all of it, but black moves which reduce white's potential, black center moves, are also worth something. And moreover, even if black plays around here, white can still get a few of these points if white only answers. So why is it the case that the move on the side is more important than the move in the center? Because the move in the center is not connected to any weak stones, to any agi, to any groups with unclear status. So this is just about points. And creating points, especially points in the center, is quite boring. It's more important than to play a move on the side. Such moves are often worth really a lot. If that group of white was weak, then it would be more important to play at A. But in this game, it's more important to play on the side. All right, so this was the last interesting moment of this game. Difference here. Sorry, there is one more interesting moment at this place. White reduces black's territory with this move and then with the continuation. And at first, it looks like a bluff. Black took some time to think and ended up answering. Even though at first it seems that nothing works for white. White tries to capture black stones, but black has enough liberties to capture the two stones of white. This is the obvious variation. However, white has another way, a very beautiful way. Atari then block from this side, play this center exchange, Atari here, bump, black needs to answer, otherwise white runs out, and then white creates a shape and makes a life in Ko. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a Ko life in black's territory. So black really needed to protect. Yeah, so this is the last interesting variation from this game, but unfortunately, earlier white managed to get an advantage just by taking more important parts of the board, and then white ended up winning the game by almost 20 points, I believe. That's it about this game. Thank you for listening.